Good morning, Mariners and beyond. This is Mark again. Welcome to our Tuesday morning Pastor's Check-In. It's an honor to spend time with all of you this morning. The psalmist tells us to be still and know that God is God. Be still. Be still. I want to tell you a story. Many of you perhaps know this story, but it was when the Israelites finally were released from Egypt. The 10 plagues had happened, and God had hardened Pharaoh's heart on a number of occasions. Finally, Pharaoh says, "Go," and the Israelites went. Well, it was soon after that Pharaoh realized that he made a big mistake and that he wanted his slaves back. So he mounts this army, a very terrifying and intimidating army indeed, and he goes after the Israelites. And the scene is pretty terrifying as the Israelites are in this valley, and in front of them they have the Red Sea. The Egyptians are pursuing them, and they're basically cornered. I'm going to pick this up. This is chapter 14, verse 10. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. Now, I'm going to skip a little part here, but I do want to draw your attention to something that's interesting, because the Israelites begin to verbally attack Moses for bringing them out, suggesting that they would have been much better off had they been left in Egypt as slaves than brought out into this wilderness to die. So they were terrified of what was about to happen, and they were crying out to the Lord. I love Moses' answer. Moses answered the people, this is verse 13, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians that you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on." So we have these two kind of commands, if you will. These two that God's telling the Israelites on one hand that I will fight the battle for you, to be still, and then he's asking them why they're crying out to him, but that they should move on. We've talked about this before, that faith without action really isn't faith. The being still part is really, in my opinion, from what I'm reading in the text, it's an issue of the heart. It's an issue of the things that they're thinking about, being terrified, being frustrated with Moses, angry with Moses. I mean, emotionally, the Israelites were completely ruined emotionally. And I believe that when he says to be still, he's speaking to the heart of the Israelites. We know that the battles that we fight, as we read in the New Testament, that the battles that we fight today are not against flesh and blood. In fact, they're against the principalities of darkness. They're spiritual. It's spiritual warfare that we encounter. And it's here that we need to be still. Yes, we need to put on the armor of God, but we need to realize that God is fighting for us. But that as God fights for us, he causes us in faith to move on. Now we know the rest of the story, because Moses holds up his staff, and God basically parts the Red Sea, and the Israelites in faith walk right down on dry ground, and they pass through this lake. And as the Egyptians are coming after them, we know that the waters come back in, and the Egyptians are are destroyed, the enemy is destroyed. Again, what are the enemies that we fight today? I believe that the enemies are not flesh and blood, but they're the things that the spiritual warfare, the spiritual battles that we fight. Those are the things that we need to surrender to. Those are the things that we need to be still and know that God is fighting for us. We do fight the fight, but we fight it from a sense the victory has already been won. God has already won the victory, but we continue to move on in faith and go where God's calling us to go and not be afraid. We read that. Do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. What do you want to be delivered from today? What are you struggling with? What is gnawing at you and causing your stomach to turn? And what is it that plagues your mind? Let God deliver you from that today. Be still and know that God is who He says He is. He's God, and He will fight the battle for you. You guys have an amazing week. Love you. God bless. Bye-bye.